Today, we are joined by Diego Jose Ramos. He is a Filipino. He has spent a number of years working overseas. He is a master networker, so he can help build your networks and introduce you to the people you need to be meeting with.
My name is Diego Jose Ramos. I'm the founder of Tourism.ph. But before that, I've been recruiting or headhunting for different companies, specializing on IT, sales, and finance. And recently, I'm the Philippine partner of a company based in Singapore called Harper&Hill. So we connect people around the region and some places in Europe for some exclusive and contingent contracts. So, and also the co-founder of a company called Horsepower.ph. We provide healthcare for solo entrepreneurs and startups. Yes, my way of doing recruiting is actually staging IT events like hackathons to keep my IT pool fresh. So we tried doing different hackathons from climate change, travel, general ones that could bring out and showcase IT talent in the country. When I did this the first time with Angel Hack in 2013, we just thought of putting up an event and showing the world that you can actually have talent here that can compete in a global scale. And Angel Hack validated that by bringing in winners from Manila to Silicon Valley for some pitching sessions. So I think that's the reason why I got that deal, just to do it here in the Philippines and to showcase IT talent. In reference to training in IT, so I started in the US kind of training and moved around Asia and just saw the contrast of talent in IT. Yes, we may have a different level of talent compared in Silicon Valley, but definitely the attitude of Filipino developers who are just tenacious and just go for as open-minded, I think has made us become slowly a worldwide global talent for that. So there may be a big gap for years ago, but recently we're now closing the gap for that kind of skillful talent in IT. We have a vast talent pool here in terms of IT. We have several schools bringing in different levels of talent as well. I think the big wave is coming in, what kind of IT people they are they willing to go into a more detailed manner, like IT emerging, like IT and social media, IT and SEO. So it's that kind of talent now that I think we're growing. The process of doing so is like more and more companies right now coming in here from Australia and US and Europe for training. I think there are a lot of people, Filipino talent that has bring into that kind of wave and emerged to be highly skilled, talented IT people. In corporate world, Derek, there has been this concept called intrapreneurship. So there are more and more executives that jump out from corporate and going to startups for the primary reason that they can now affect change fast as before. While in corporate, even people from World Bank has been speaking to me, and they wanted to get involved with startup because their thinking process is slower and implementation is slower in the company where it came from, and wants just jump into a startup where they can actually manifest instantly their ideas. So I think that wave of awareness that you can start as a startup entrepreneur or entrepreneur in residence in corporate and move into building your own company. I think we became a country now that has that kind of landscape. The Philippines started with, years ago, like shared services from other companies. But when they identified that we can build our own outsourcing team here, I think we are now known as the biggest outsourcing country in the world because of that basic Filipino characteristic of being amiable and just polite on the phone and can do work really diligently. And we also have growing education ways on how to improve those kinds of, or harness those kinds of talent in the IT industry. Our workspaces has become more available for them as well, more convenient and conducive for learning and further training. I think that's our edge compared to other parts of the world, where there's just a small gap between an executive and the ones working in outsourcing. So I think our wave of career path has grown closer and closer on that level. If you're a foreigner from the US or Europe and want to start a company here in outsourcing and be part of the company, there are ways. We have laws actually, and lawyers can work on them. Like you incorporate as a team here, although our laws would allow Filipinos to have more equity than you are, but instantly you can have visas by a law that your own company is hiring you as an expat. So that gives you a little bit more exemption in terms of tax and more freedom in terms of how you build your equity later on towards growing your business. These are the things that are not articulated in articles, perhaps from entrepreneurs from overseas, that these can be possible in our country. And in terms of taxations, all you have to do is just have to enroll in specific areas like the PEZA zones and go through the programs of the BOI to get that real tax exemption. And you know, it's competitive in other parts compared to other parts of the country. One thing about the Philippine market, it's relationship based. If you're selling a product, they would buy your product because they like you as a person. I think that's a very fundamental characteristic of a Philippine market. Any expat with that capacity, strong capacity to network, can really make it here in our country easily. I think we both know that we know a lot of people that has done that. Unlike in other countries or US or Europe, where it's just a challenge for them to network. I think that would be a stumbling block for them to really expand their business. And as they come here and learn more about the culture, I think they start to open up more and more than what they usually do in their countries. So I think that's the biggest lesson they've learned here. As long as you put up a big smile, open up your mouth, you can make it here in the Philippines. Oh yes, I've worked with, when recruiting, I've worked with several companies here, companies from the US and Europe reaching out to me for me to build their team here. They start from 3, 5 and expanded to 20 just because I think their cost is lower. We have good working staff here as well. We have great IT talent. We have great salespeople that just can get on the phone. These are, I think, verticals that you can take a look and slice the company in terms of management and how to look at our country as a whole in that kind of type of hiring. You know, if they're looking for the best customer service, the Philippines has the best. IT talent, we are competitive. Management level of kind of executive roles, we have all those in our country. I think, in fact, in Indonesia, the Filipino expats are one of the most respected expats in Asia. I think the best process is just to identify which part of like the office system they would like to belong, whether co-working space or serviced offices. Once they have it done, they identify people that can help them expand their network. They could reach out to headhunters and just expand that. And normally what they do, they assign a project manager to manage this Philippine team, and anything that comes from that would just expand. That's how most even rocket internet companies starts here in the Philippines. It starts from basic one level management, then expands. It's very much similar doing business in Silicon Valley in the Philippines. I think what differs is what type of business that you're going to bring in as part of the outsourcing team. Anything that would love to bring your brands or love to have an intimate conversation with your clients, anything that would do a perfect customer service, I think this is a country that you should bring your business on. Filipinos are known to be very polite and very hospitable. I think it's a fundamental DNA that we all do have. So no matter how irate a client might be, a Filipino employee or a team member can definitely shed light to it. I think that's what made us really a popular outsourcing destination as well. In reference to the type of business, in terms of management and staff, there's not much difference as well in compared to the US. We have very competent Filipino or local team members that could actually augment your business in a way that we have qualified schools. Most of our students as well was educated overseas as well and just came back to work here. Our media are usually based on Western media format, and I think we become an extension of that Western world as well. So I think Philippines is one of the most English is a widely spoken dialect, and it's easy for Americans and Europeans just to come over and interact with local talent. What's a good part of the government is whether what type of government we are into, whether in the old ones and the new ones, there's one part of business that I think that government would like to support, which is outsourcing. I mean, these are the things that are non-political by nature. And these are the expanding markets as well, no matter what government it is we have right now. So our present mandate for our current government now is to expand, especially like from here to regional. So I think that's a basic mandate that we need to stay focused on our outsourcing talent. The current president would like to emphasize that we should pay attention to Filipino or local talent. I think the three key pieces of advice, if somebody would like to set up a team here, is like they know how to speak to a Filipino, a local talent, and the way to do that is to articulate properly your instruction and do a feedback system. This is what I mean, and this is what you thought about it, and this is how you're going to do it together. I think there should be a feedback system in terms of communication because they're coming from different programs. And secondly, Filipinos, you gain a lot of trust from Filipinos if you trust ahead. So we're known to trust easily as well. And third, there are things that cannot be motivated by monetary. If you take your out for a team to the beach, there's just like the implied kind of a trust building mechanism you built into your team, which is I think true with other countries as well. But if you just pay attention to those three types, you can build a solid team here in the Philippines. Well, I would like to work on things that I would love to do. First is connecting people. That's why I'm doing headhunting as well. Secondly, the value, my principle in life, in doing business, Derek, is like you give first and you ask later. So the reason why it's easy for me to move around in this industry is I share first before I ask somehow a favor. I think those are the key things that any networker would do in our country. I've helped build companies and teams initially in pro bono, and they decide to move me on an exclusive contract. I think that's how it started, really. And as I move up the ladder in terms of networking, I think my value is filling in the need of other people that might not have a chance to meet other people as well. I think the value of mankind should be built on that as well.